This is going to serve as an addendum to my Naturalist rant video from a week ago. Now, bear in mind, I was a little emotional in that rant, as I tend to be whenever I climb up Mount Soapbox. But after a few days to play the Naturalist role a little bit more, I do feel like it's important to do an actual review of Reddit Online, the Naturalist role, now available across all platforms, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, as well as Stadia. And I'm curious about your thoughts regarding the Naturalist role after a week of it being out. Your pros, your cons, your verdict. Welcome below in the comments section. As always, when it comes to my reviews, that's what I do. We go over the pros, then the cons, then the verdict. So let's go ahead and start this off with the pros because, believe it or not, there are actually pros to the Naturalist role. For one thing, the animal spawns have been fixed. Asterisk, for now. Another pro is the fossil collectibles that have been added. Somewhere around the map you might find a fossil collectible. You can sell them to Mab Nazar. I hear the payout's pretty decent, especially if you get all of the fossil collectibles. So that's something new for the collectors to go do. Legendary animals and the legendary animal map. This is definitely a pro, but as with a lot of these, you will see that there is some cons to these as well. But this is something that we've been asking in Red Dead Online for the addition of legendary animals in Red Dead Online. They existed in Red Dead Redemption Multiplayer as well as Red Dead Redemption 2, so it's awesome that we finally have legendary animals, plus a convenient legendary animal map to look at, which gives you the general idea of where you possibly could find a legendary animal in free roam, and there's quite a few. There's a buck, elk, as well as a boar, javelina, cougars, some wolves, foxes, a few others as well. In fact, there's now gators added to the legendary map in Red Dead Online, and I think over the next few weeks, Rockstar is going to continue to add even more legendary animals like a bear, moose, and perhaps some other animals as well. So yes, legendary animals, the ability to hunt or sedate and sample them, a big pro in my opinion. Along with the legendary animals, we have the Animal Field Guide, and if you go around the map either like studying, hunting, or sedating and sampling animals, you will start to build up your Animal Field Guide. And you have one for like desert, wetlands, farmland, grasslands, mountain, etc. And every time you max one out, you get a stamp on it, and you can trade it in for some additional money. It's a fun activity to do, and the Animal Field Guide is basically the Red Dead Redemption 2 compendium, now in Red Dead Online. We have two new free mode events revolved around the Naturalist role. Wild animal tagging, basically you roam around the map, tagging animals and sedating the animals and taking samples. It's very similar to Salvage. I like it. And there's also another free roam event called Legendary Animal Protection. Basically, your job is to protect a legendary animal. And that one's not really as fun as the wild animal tagging. But hey, two new free roam events for you to try out. We have two new weapons, the improved bow, which can be customized. That's something a lot of the bow enthusiasts have been wanting, the ability to customize their bow. Now you can with the improved bow. We also have a new rifle, the elephant gun, and something else that fans have been asking for, the wilderness camp through the Naturalist role has been added. It works very similar to the camp in Red Dead Online that Arthur can call up, the small camp, and their set spawn locations. So you call it up, you have to purchase it, but some people were able to actually get it for free. I believe it was through Twitch Prime. So you call it the Wilderness Camp, and then you'll spawn by the little Wilderness Camp, and it allows you to cook as well as craft and make coffee. So it's definitely a pro in my opinion, because even though there are campfire locations around the map that I did a guide for, sometimes you're nowhere near one of those campfires and you just want to really quickly cook some exotic bird meat or big game meat or have a cup of coffee because it's a daily, or craft a tonic, same reason. So now we have the Wilderness Camp in Red Dead Online. They also have a new camera, the advanced camera. We'll talk more about that later. Cooked meat now in the item wheel. So not only can you cook meat almost anywhere as long as you have the Wilderness Camp, you also no longer have to go through the satchel in order to eat your cooked meat. You can just go into the item wheel where all the other food is, like the canned food, the crackers, cheese, etc., and that's where you can find your cooked meat. So that is definitely a big pro. It makes it a lot more convenient for everybody that has often wondered, well, where does my cooked meat go? Well, now you no longer have to go through the satchel in order to consume the cooked meat. A new horse has been added, 6 variations of the Gypsy Cob. And just like a lot of these roll horses, there's 3 tiers: bottom tier, mid tier, top tier. More on the Gypsy Cob later. A new Outlaw Pass, finally, Outlaw Pass 3. By the way, I did do a thoughts video about Outlaw Pass 3 last week. For more information about that, feel free and check out my Outlaw Pass 3 video. The price tag for Outlaw Pass 3 is 40 gold bars, same as Outlaw Pass 2, and it's an 80 rank max. It's not very difficult to do. I was able to get through Outlaw Pass 3 already, and once you complete Outlaw Pass 3, you get your 40 gold bars back. But once again, if you want my thoughts about Outlaw Pass 3, whether or not I think it's worth it to get right away or simply wait till you max that out along with the Club Pass, feel free and check out my Outlaw Pass 3 thoughts vid. The next pro is a new role added. For those of us who have been patiently waiting for a new role, the Naturalist role, which costs you 25 bars of gold. We have 2 new characters we interact with. The Reddit Online equivalent of the Trapper, Gus. He offers you the opportunity to sell him legendary animal skins, as well as 3-star pelts and carcasses for a variety of items. For example, the legendary pelts will get you legendary garments that you can unlock from Gus. There's also things you can get with perfect pelts, as well as perfect carcass items. He has trinkets. If you do the trinkets, then that will give you some boosts, some passive boosts that you can have. The trinkets are definitely a fun activity to do. I've already maxed out my trinkets. Some of them can be a little bit more challenging because of the way the collectibles are. You have to go hunt some like an antler or some feathers, etc., in conjunction with having a specific collector item. But it's something else you can do in the game, and there is a passive reward for getting all the trinkets. Even though the trinkets are not cheap, they will cost you each one several $100 depending on the trinket that you're after. There's also some made-to-order items you can get through Gus, like horse masks, saddlebags, etc. The other character we're introduced to in the Naturalist role is a conservationist named Harriet Davenport. She comes from a well-to-do family. She's chosen to abandon her family, live out in the woods. She's trying to save animals. She's very anti-hunting, which creates some sort of duality to this update. And she provides you with the ability to sedate animals through the sedative 22 rounds. You can sedate animals, and you can get samples of the animals, and then you can sell those samples to Harriet, regular animals as well as legendary animals, in order to receive money as well as roll XP to help rank up the Naturalist role. She also sells various other items. She also provides you with the poacher dynamics. You can initiate it through Harriet, and sometimes you can even find the poacher dynamics similar to the moonshine dynamics scattered throughout the map. And once you reach rank 5 in the Naturalist role, you can start doing the legendary animal missions for Harriet. And that can go both ways, and this is something I really like about the legendary animal missions, is that you can go in and you can sedate the legendary animal, and everyone will get a sample of that legendary animal to sell to Harriet. Or you can go in, kill the legendary animal, take the skin, and sell it to Gus in order to get yourself a legendary garment. But unfortunately, if you do it that way, you only get one skin. So it's kind of like the quote-unquote greedy approach to the legendary animal missions. But it's really cool that you can go about it one way or the other. You can go at it as the conservationist and make Harriet happy. Or if you want her to spray you in the face, simply gun down that legendary animal and take the pelt to Gus. It's totally worth it for a legendary garment. Along with the Naturalist role, there are several items and abilities. We now will acquire the ability to mercy kill animals. Sometimes when you're hunting, you'll shoot an animal, say like a 3-star buck. It won't go down right away, but then it does go down. It hasn't died yet. And if you shoot it, then you're going to damage that pelt from a 3-star to a 1-star. That's why a lot of us will take the dishonorable point penalty and just let the animal bleed out. Now, that's kind of painful to watch. It's laying there on the ground in blood, screaming as it slowly dies. but thanks to the Naturalist role, you can eventually acquire the Mercy Kill ability, similar to Arthur's ability in Red Dead Redemption 2. Plus, there's some satchel upgrades as well as unique Naturalist clothing items that you may or may not be interested in. Rockstar also claims, this I guess you could count as a pro, that there is 250 bug fixes. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but according to Rockstar, 250 bug fixes in the game. I'm guessing a lot of them might have been revolved about animal spawns, and that's why animal spawns are a thing now. In fact, there's an abundance of animals, except for the legendary animals in free roam. Every now and then you get lucky and you find one. Hopefully the animal spawns will remain in future patches, hotfixes, and updates. The final bonus pro we're going to go over before we move on is Weapons Locker has been added to Red Dead Redemption 2 Story Mode, so Arthur can use the Weapons Locker starting in Chapter 2. So once you get out of the snow and you're down in Horseshoe Overlook going forward, Arthur can now use the Weapons Locker to store unwanted weapons that you're no longer using in the Weapons Locker at camp. So kudos to Rockstar for adding something from Red Dead Online to Red Dead Redemption 2. It would have been nice if they would have also added the Navy revolver, as some people were wanting, and perhaps the new weapons like the improved bow or the elephant gun, but maybe eventually down the road. But here's hoping that they'll continue to add small updates to Red Dead Redemption 2 via new weapons as well as other things from Red Dead Online. Those were the pros. Now we're gonna mosey over to the cons, and some of you that watched the rant video, it's probably gonna feel like a broken record or deja vu because a lot of these we already went over, but here it is. Issues remain despite the quote-unquote 200 and bug fixes that were allegedly made to the game. Disconnects were worse over the past week. Maybe that's due to an influx of people playing the game because of a new update and the fact that this game is through the peer-to-peer system instead of dedicated servers, which would be more stable and secure, but Take-Two Rockstar choose to go the cheap route with peer-to-peer for GTA Online and Red Dead Online, despite the fact that GTA 5 and GTA Online has made tons of money for Rockstar and Take-Two. Infinite loading screen issue is still there, and there's some new glitches that I've discovered, and some of you as well. Horse fast travel glitch. So if you fast travel from, say, Coulter to another part of the map, whether it's McFarling, Tumbleweed, Valentine, Saint Denis, etc., sometimes your horse won't come with you. The quick solution, as long as you have other horses in the stable, is go to the interaction menu, go to stables, go to own horses, and then call up a different horse. That solves the problem and brings you another horse instead of going back up there and trying to get your horse. But it's unfortunate that is a problem. It's a new glitch. There's also a wagon glitch because a lot of people are out there hunting because there's actually animals in the game for now. And wagons are also having a similar issue. The solution to this at the moment apparently is to simply go to the stable and select the wagon from the stables itself. Now that's not the way it's supposed to be, but it's better than nothing. So until Rockstar fixes the horse glitch issue and the wagon issue, specifically those two issues, that's the way you get around those two problems. I have personally noticed some minor issues. The horse can still go bald. It can still lose its tail and have a piggy tail. It can still have fake pelts on the back of the horse. And I think the gender is still changing. So some things have remained the same, even though those are, quote unquote, minor glitches compared to more pressing matters in the game. Rockstar also has changed the collections. They're now RNG. They're no longer in a cycle or anything. I think they completely overhauled it, making it more difficult. A lot of that is probably because of the interactive map that a lot of us enjoy using. So they wanted to make it more difficult for us. So now collections are basically RNG. If there is a method to the madness, a rhyme to the reason, eventually I'm sure we'll figure it out. And we'll discover the new locations of where the collectibles happen to be. Hopefully. Improved bow is another con. Yes. It's nice to have a bow with some customization to it, even though they could have just simply added customization to the current bow. Though, to be honest, I do like the overall look of the improved bow over the regular bow. However, it has been discovered over the past few days that the improved bow, along with explosive arrows, is OP. It can be used from a ridiculous distance to kill other players. Some are calling it the new broomstick in Red Dead Online. Others, the orbital cannon of Red Dead Online. I think orbital cannon makes more sense than broomstick. Hopefully we'll never actually get a broomstick. But with the improved bow in conjunction with explosive arrows, this thing is now OP. This is going to be a new problem for regular players in the game. And this is something that a lot of griefers are going to enjoy using against us. Hopefully Rockstar will find a way to nerf the improved bow, because as of right now, it's extremely OP. And you know how a weapon like that can be abused by the griefing community in Red Dead Online. Next weapon we're going to have a con for is the elephant gun. Now, there was a bit of debate in the comments section regarding the elephant gun that I looked over in the comments. Yes, I do read your comments. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, it's fine as long as there's nothing nasty said about me or threats and whatnot. I'm perfectly fine if you disagree with me, and if you don't like the videos, you're welcome to dislike them. However, I feel like the elephant gun should not damage all 3-star pelts. So you could make the argument, as some of you did, that maybe certain animals you would never want to use the elephant gun on because it really doesn't make sense in real life. I get it. The deer, pronghorn, goats, animals of that size, of course you wouldn't use an elephant gun on in real life. However, the same problem happens with the larger animals in the game. Elk, moose, cows, bulls, oxen, bison, grizzly bears. If you one-shot any of those animals that happen to be 3-star, then their pelts should remain 3-star as long as you only one-shotted them. Their pelts should not be damaged. So there does need to be some animals in Red Dead Online that can be one-shotted without damaging the pelts with the elephant gun. A lot of people are like, well, it's only meant to be used on legendary animals. I don't really buy that. I mean, yes, obviously, it's good to use against legendary animals because it packs quite a punch. It takes quite a few shots to take out even, say, a legendary fox. But at the same time, there should be like a free roam benefit of using the elephant gun, which would revolve around the larger animals without damaging their 3-star pelts. So Rockstar definitely needs to make some tweaks, improvements to the elephant gun when it comes to 3-star pelts, for at the very least, the quote-unquote larger animals that roam around the game. The smaller animals, I kind of get only using the bolt action or the sniper rifles on. That makes sense. The next con is the advanced camera. Yes, yay, we have a new camera. But this thing costs over $500. Man versus History, if you're watching this video, I asked you last week, and maybe you're working on it. You need to do a video about the cost of cameras in 1898 compared to this game. Because that is a major inflation in the price tag. Yeah, I realize cameras back in the day weren't cheap because they were practically brand new by Kodak. But $500 for the advanced camera with some filters and some other abilities that they simply could have just went into the regular camera and improved it. That's all they had to do. Just take the regular camera and quote-unquote improve it without making us shell out another $500 because now we have 2 cameras in our inventory, one of which we're never going to use anyways. So it was just a waste of money. And here's another thing that we asked for that Rockstar did not give us. The Rockstar Editor. This would have been perfect for the Rockstar Editor. We got it for free with GT Online. It's fantastic for videos, machinimas, as well as images. Rockstar could have just given us the Rockstar Editor for Red Dead Online instead of the advanced camera, which costs, once again, over $500. Which leads us to another con that my friend Red and many of you have pointed out regarding the photographs. I love taking photographs in games, like Ghost of Tsushima, for example, and like using the Rockstar Editor in GT Online. But when you have to use it in conjunction with the social club, it just shows that the social club needs some updating and improving, Rockstar, because as my friend Red and a few of you pointed out, deleting photos from the Rockstar Social Club is a real pain. Rockstar, please update the social club to where it's easier and faster to delete photos we no longer want because you're limited with the amount of photos you can have in Red Dead Online. The next con is going directly into the Naturalist role itself. So without any role XP boosts are the ability to do the legendary animal missions or help from other players that are higher rank. If you have to go into this solo like I was attempting to do on PC this past Friday, it will take quite a while for you to rank up from 1 to 5, doing just sedating, sampling animals, selling those samples to Harriet, and the poacher dynamics. That's all you would be able to do in order to go from rank 1 to 5 before this update gets better with the legendary missions. What I think Rockstar should have done is allow the player to at least do one legendary mission rank 1 through 5. Then once you get to rank 5, once you reach rank 5, you're able to do 2 legendary missions. I think it's within like 45 minutes or an hour. There's like a rotation, and after the rotation, you get to do some new legendary missions. So there is a cool-off period of sorts. So I think at the very least, it would have made the Naturalist update much more smoother for players starting out from rank 1 to 5 if they had access to at least one legendary mission solo. Now, obviously, if you have a higher ranked player and they initiate via the posse, then yeah, you can do it. But I'm thinking about the player that's out there on their own, trying to grind the Naturalist role, and it would take a very long time, many hours of just sedating, sampling, selling samples to Harriet, as well as the random poacher dynamics, before reaching rank 5 if you don't have any of those Naturalist XP boosts to help you rank up this role faster. The next con revolves around, yes, you guessed it, the Roll Horse. Once again, sounding like a broken record. I've mentioned this before in the previous RAM video and in the Moonshiners update regarding that Roll Horse, as well as the Roll Horses for Frontier Pursuits a year ago. I don't like the way this system is set up. I can accept the fact that in order to get the horse, you have to do the roll. What I still don't accept is the lack of options when it comes to each of these roll horses. Rockstar needs to seriously go back to the horses, rework them, especially the roll horses, allowing you to pick between the 6 different coats and strengthen the stats and cores. So you start off with the low tier cores and stats, eventually you can upgrade it to the mid tier, or simply just wait till you reach rank 20 Naturalist roll to get the top tier core and stats. Then, separately, you can pick between one of 6 different coats for the Gypsy Cob, as well as the previous roll horses that have been added. That way, you see a lot more variety of Gypsy Cobs and Roadsters and Criollos, Bretons, etc., instead of mostly seeing just the top 2 coats, because that's what most players are going to wait for, is the best stats, the best cores for that specific breed. Another issue revolved around horses is the fact that we still cannot sell our horses that we no longer use. We have to discard them. We don't even get some sort of discount coupon which goes towards, say, the next purchase, like 30-40% off the next horse. At the very least, you'd get something for that. But no, once again, you have to discard a horse you no longer want. You don't get anything at all back. You don't get a discount towards your next horse by, quote-unquote, discarding a horse you no longer want. You're just trying to make room in your stall space, or you just simply no longer want the horse anymore. And that leads us over to the next con revolved around horses and stables. No additional stall space. Rockstar could have at least added 5 more new stall spots. But no. We have the same amount that we had 7 months ago with the Moonshiner update. Rockstar, we need more stall space. If you continue to add more horses, we need more stall space, especially if you're not going to allow us the option to get something financially in return for selling horses we no longer want. Hopefully those issues will be resolved in a future update, and until they are, I'm going to keep bringing them up in future reviews and rants. Now let's talk about Harriet. Yes, some of you have a love-hate relationship with her. There's her simp army out there. Most of us don't really feel that way about her. Yeah, she has this wrath and hypocrisy to her. She will spray you in the face for hunting animals when you're on the other side of the map. You're nowhere near one of her camps, but somehow she finds out. She claims she talks to animals, but we all know she's crazy. We know she's not really talking to animals. There's no such thing as a berry-eating cougar that is not a carnivore. Cougars are carnivores. You think a naturalist would know that. But anyways, yes, she is a hypocrite also, as we have discovered. She's against us hunting and killing animals, perfectly fine of us killing people, but at the same time, She keeps animals in cages. We've seen birds in cages. We've seen iguanas in cages at her little camp. That's what we call a hypocrisy, Harriet. Furthermore, I don't like being sprayed for no damn reason. There have been plenty of times over the past week where I haven't killed a single animal. I've been out sedating and sampling animals, and she'll spray you for no damn reason. Now, there are times when I have been sprayed for reason, but still, I'm on the other side of the map hunting, trying to get materials for my trader camp, or hunting a legendary animal because I want that legendary garment. Whatever happened to see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, or out of sight, out of mind? I think that if you're in like a radius of Harriet, right? Like within like 100 yards radius or something, and you kill an animal, yeah, that would piss her off because she obviously would be able to hear you, shoot the animal, skin the animal. Okay, I can see that. But when you're nowhere near one of her camps, video games, right? Another con with Harriet is the ridiculous items she sells. Now, some of you may like these items. I have no use for all of them, except for the sedative rounds, I suppose. But eventually I'll probably get tired of doing that. So she has these weight loss, weight gain tonics, which are expensive as... They're very expensive. I think they're maybe the most expensive items in the game now. Personally, I don't see the point of them. But if you want to waste your money on a weight gain or a weight loss tonic, you do you. I consider that to be a con. There's also the legendary pheromones. I have no use for these. Supposedly they work. Every time I try to use one, doesn't work. And every time I approach a legendary animal, I never use it anyways in order to take down an animal. So I have no purpose, no reason, no rhyme for the legendary pheromones. The animal revivers, if I have some for free, the Outlaw Pass or any other reward, I'll use them. You can get a little bit of additional Naturalist roll XP for reviving an animal. The truth is, the animals revive themselves anyways eventually, especially the predators like the snakes, wolves, bears, cougars. And trust me, you don't want to revive them. You want to get as far away as possible before they wake up because they're going to be in a very bad mood. The next con asks the question, what was all this for? Is there a reward at the end of this tunnel for doing the Naturalist roll? I guess if you like the legendary pelts or garments, but this was an opportunity to make a property unlock. Once you reach rank 20 Naturalist roll, maybe you have the ability to purchase a cabin or something. But unfortunately, once again, no new property added in Red Dead Online. I'll talk more about that in the verdict. So verdict is coming up very, very soon. But unfortunately, this was a good opportunity to add a new property to the game, but they did not. And they didn't even add a new theme for the camp. They haven't added a new theme revolved around the Moonshiner role or the Naturalist role for our camp, which is unfortunate. So it would have been cool, small gripe, small con, if we would have had a Naturalist theme to change up the camp just a little bit. The final con I wish to mention is the animal spawn itself. It is essential to the trader role, and it's even more essential to the Naturalist role. It is possibly one hot fix or patch away from being broken once again. Now, some of you may not believe this, but it has happened before. Patches, hot fixes intended to fix other problems have had an unfortunate side effects of causing other problems, including animal spawn issues. And that leads me to my final con. Once again, no different lobby types. We have noticed something. Whenever you play this game with 15 or less players, the game seems to work better. However, 20 plus players, 24 plus players, even recently like 27 plus players, it seems to be okay, but the disconnects are getting worse, the infinite loading screen's getting worse, and in the past, that caused problems when there was too many people in the lobby. I really wish Rockstar would consider giving us one of the top requested things that we've been asking for in Red Dead Online, different lobby types. Red Dead Redemption Multiplayer has them, Grand Theft Auto Online has them, and it was even found through the data miners for the Red Dead Redemption 2 companion app that we originally were supposed to have different lobby types in Red Dead Online. I hope that sooner or later, Rockstar listens to the community and gives us different lobby types, especially if problems like disconnects and infinite loading screens continue to persist in Red Dead Online. And here's hoping that the animal spawn issue has been resolved once and for all. Maybe that's what the majority of those 250 bugs were focused on. I hope so, because if that gets broken again, it'll doom both the trader role as well as the naturalist role, and you could very well see it being as the final straw when it comes to a huge chunk of the Red Dead Online community. Here's hoping that I'm wrong about the animal spawns being broken with the next patch or hotfix. Hopefully it's a solid fix for now going forward, but only time will tell. Those are the pros, the cons. Time now for my verdict. The naturalist role is basically two roles Rockstar has tried to stitch, patch, sew, will together like some sort of Frankenstein's monster, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The legendary animals are fantastic. It's great, once again, that we have animals to actually hunt for the trader role as well as the naturalist role and legendary animals. But these two roles contradict each other so badly. I know they seem to make sense, but the truth is, Harriet really wasn't necessary. We could have had the entire update revolved around Gus. He didn't have to do the sedative stuff, or maybe he could have. Maybe it would have been like, you know, I got some guys at some universities back east that want samples of these animals. You can go and sedate the animals and bring me the samples. I'll pay you for the samples. You'll get XP for the samples. I think almost everything could have simply been done through Gus without Harriet and her perfume. So you could have done both with Gus. I'll buy your samples and then I'll send them to scientists, professors at universities. Either way, I make a profit whether you give me samples or you give me animal skins and parts. It's a win-win for Gus. It's a win-win for us. So once again, I don't really feel like Harriet was very necessary. They could have done a quick rework to this whole thing, excluded her, and still had mostly everything else added, including all the silly stuff that she sells, all the tonics that we talked about. And also the legendary missions, which I think should also be done through Gus. I think you should have the ability, at the very least, to do legendary missions through Harriet and Gus. It'd be the same missions, the same rotation, but why is it that we only have to do those through Harriet? That does not make sense, especially since you have that choice between simply sedating and sampling a legendary animal or killing it and then taking its legendary pelt to Gus for a garment. But overall, the naturalist role has admittedly grown on me just a little bit, but I am still concerned about the future of Red Dead Online as of right now. There is leaked hope, however, out there thanks to the data miners. We have confirmed that there is going to be a Halloween pass. In other words, there will not be a delay in Outlaw Pass 3 and 4 like there was between Outlaw Pass 2 and 3. Looks like with October 19th being the expiration date for Outlaw Pass 3, probably Outlaw Pass 4 or the Halloween Pass will start possibly on October 20th, which is awesome. And there's also been some leaked information about potential properties like houses, apartments, perhaps even mansions, alleged price tags. Mansions might be like 600 gold bars, but hey, we're possibly getting properties in the near future. And even animal transformations, very, very similar to the way it is in Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online via the peyote plants. So there is still hope for Red Dead Online throughout the rest of 2020, especially if the fall 2020 update to Red Dead Online turns out to be really good, which most likely is going to include properties. They just lay in the groundwork, the foundation for the properties in the code with the Naturalist update. And with everything else coming out over the next few weeks, some more legendary animals and some more clothing items, the Naturalist role might just hold us over till the fall 2020 update. And Red Dead Online still has a chance to survive going into 2021. However, Rockstar needs to do more than just give us roles. The roles can work. There are ideas for roles out there that we have bounced around that I love. But Rockstar can't just be married to role updates only. We want more. We want the ability to be an outlaw or a lawman. We want to do heists like rob small banks, big banks, stagecoach robberies, train robberies, boat robberies. We could add the Riverboat Casino. That would be awesome. We also would like to see the Land of Opportunities missions finally wrapped up. In addition to a new location like the Wapiti Reservation. I know Guarma's probably never going to happen unless it's for like PvP type maps, which would be awesome at the very least. But when it comes to the Wapiti Reservation, if you go by Red Dead Redemption 2, which takes place a year later in 1899, technically the Wapiti Reservation should be there. I mean, yes, physically it's there, but the Wapiti tribe should also be there, along with some characters from the tribe for us to interact with, like Rainsfall, Eagleflies, Peta, Captain Monroe, maybe a medicine man or a medicine woman, or somebody that will do war paint on your character, on your horse, or some other places like another butcher, a shopkeep. The Wapiti tribe is definitely something a lot of us would eventually like to see added to Red Dead Online. And we also need items that players actually want to spend their money in gold on, not weight loss, weight gain tonics. Most of us have already decided what our character's body type is going to be. We're content with it being regular, or petite, or fat, or thin. Most of us don't really care about that. We're not going to shell out the money for the weight gain, weight loss tonics, but we don't mind having something added to the game that makes us say, shut up and take my money, or shut up and take my gold. We need things to buy, because a lot of us have been grinding this game. We got plenty of gold, we got plenty of cash, and those of you that still are working on it, don't worry, there's plenty of ways to earn cash and gold in the game. I have guides via the guide playlist, but the ability to purchase properties, which might be coming by the end of the year, knock on wood, hopefully, along with some other things like businesses, like the idea of actually owning a store or owning a mine, perhaps eventually our very own farm or ranch. That would be awesome. So hopefully there's more properties coming down the road, not just at the end of the year with just a standard apartment, house, cabin, mansion, but with other things as well. Non-roll mounts, like for example, Red Dead Redemption 2 horses. They could bring those over. The Rose Gray Arabian, the Brindle Arabian, plenty of other horses featured in Red Dead Redemption 2. And there's also versions of horses we'd love that the characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 have. The Count, which is Dutch's horse. Baylock, Micah's horse. Buell are other horses that you see like Sadie, and see Bill Williamson, Javier, Charles, and a few other characters we interact with, as the ability to purchase those horses in Red Dead Online as well. Hopefully those horses come with a little bit better stats and cores than the breed they happen to belong to, which will be extra incentive to purchase those horses. I want to see more than just that, though. I know some of you know that I'm going in this direction. I think eventually we're going with like more mythical mounts, more crazy mounts, if you will. I want to see the horses of the apocalypse eventually added from Undead Nightmare, War, Death, Famine, Pestilence, perhaps the zombie horse, the unicorn, and even mounts from Red Dead Redemption multiplayer. The bulls, the bison. You could also add the zonkey. A lot of players have been wanting us to have the ability to purchase the regular mule and donkey that we see in Red Dead Online. There's so many people, they're not even joking. They would love to have their very own donkey, their very own mule. Even if the stats are crap, it would just be something else for players to buy and just gallop around on for fun. Anyways, here's hoping that the Fall 2020 update will turn Red Dead Online around. And I guess you could say in hindsight, maybe the Naturalist role will serve as like a placeholder, an appetizer for what's hopefully to come, something to get us by, because it had been over several months since the last update. So at least it gives us something to do as long as you can actually play the game without those pesky disconnects or infinite loading screen issues and whatnot. However, if Rockstar has decided going forward that the only updates they're going to put out for this game has to be role-focused only instead of, say, a heist update or something like that that's non-role, then I feel like in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to cut it for the future of Red Dead Online. Because not everybody wants to be a moonshiner. Not everybody wants to be a naturalist or a trader or a collector or a bounty hunter or whatever future roles they have planned. They have to come out with content that appeals to more players in the game. Like I mentioned already, a heist-themed update would be awesome. Anyways, that's my thoughts, my views, my opinions, pros, cons, and verdict regarding the Naturalist role. I'm curious about what you think, your honest thoughts, views, opinions, pros, cons, verdict regarding the Naturalist role a week after it's officially released on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia for Red Dead Online. As always, welcome below in the comments section.